Michigan has now sent its response to the Big Ten, okay, regarding the allegations and the disciplinary action the Big Ten has sent toward Michigan. So they did a 10-page response, general counsel, big law firm. They'll get injunctions. They're telling the Big Ten, if you go too hard at us, we'll get injunctions and push this thing down the road. So right now it's a unified front at Michigan, all behind Harbaugh. That's obviously also what any company does initially when there are allegations of fraud or deceit. The company, general counsel, you hire a law firm, you threaten injunctions. Everybody is behind Harbaugh now. So I'll get to that more in a second. So there's three things that need to be said, that a little bit of new information. Number one, and we told you this yesterday on the show, middle of our show, middle to late, is that I was not hearing that Ohio State or any other Big Ten school was the one that leaked this. I was told it was somebody in the building at Michigan. And as I said, these college coaches, Saban, Kirby Smart, Dabo Swinney, Jim Harbaugh, Lincoln Riley, they can be very polarizing in a building when you're constantly cutting sports and jobs for the big, rich football coach in the program. So I was told it was somebody in the building or within the Michigan family that leaked it. There are now stories. You can pursue those if you want. It's called Google. It's a search engine. It works on that. The second thing is, I've been told the circle of people at Michigan that knew about this advanced scouting, which I still think is incredibly overstated. Everybody is doing some of it. Michigan went a little over the top, said slap on the wrist I'd have no problem with. I think it's an overblown story. Many don't. But the circle of people that knew at Michigan is bigger than has been reported. Probably no good for Michigan. Number three is there is a very strong possibility if this gets messy. Let's say Michigan loses. Let's say the NCAA comes down hard, that Michigan's unwavering Harbaugh support would be diminished or would erode. It's fluid. Support from the top down in big companies is always fluid. Right now, it's all unified. It wouldn't be terrible for Harbaugh. This is going to be a very rare year where there's multiple NFL offerings potentially that are good. Chicago with a top college quarterback. It's a great college quarterback draft class, including Harbaugh's own at Michigan. Commanders with a good roster, weapons, and a rich new owner. Potentially the Chargers, though I think they make the playoffs with Justin Herbert and weapons. Tampa Bay, solid roster, lots of weapons. Got a college quarterback. The Raiders, Max Crosby, Devontae Adams, Hunter Renfrow, Colton Miller, Jacobs, a lot of weapons. Again, good college class, including Harbaugh's quarterback at Michigan, Caleb Williams, Drake May, Bo Nix, Michael Penix. It's like 5 guys that are going to go. There's a kid at Duke, a kid at Florida State, a kid at LSU. We could have 8 quarterbacks go in the top 38, 40 picks. So it's very unique. And remember, the last great job opening in the NFL may have been Matt LaFleur with an aging Aaron Rodgers. Before that, it was Mike McCarthy got a job with Dak, Zeke, and a great O-line. Those are rare, really good jobs. Now, I'm not saying the jobs this year equal that. Chargers could, but it's a pretty tasty lineup of cap space and young stars where you got 4 to 5 years and not having to pay for them. Very good for Harbaugh and his agent. But between the Big Ten's punishment and Michigan's pushback, if it's too punitive, we will get an injunction. We'll muddy the waters. That's what I'm hearing. And also, if the NCAA punishment is too harsh, Jim, exit stage right. So Michigan's in a weird spot where they're going to be highly supportive. This is what corporations do when an employee gets in trouble. They are highly supportive and unified initially. But if it gets too messy, Michigan loses to Penn State and Ohio State, that could be very, very fluid. We're hearing this morning it could be a 3-game suspension for Harbaugh, which would be significant, and it could start this weekend. So when I saw this morning, listen, generally speaking, if a major controversy, and this is basically, although I think it's silly, a cheating scandal, if it surrounds a team, it's not good for the team. And Michigan is absolutely engulfed in it. And according to this story, the Big Ten is delivering a mountain of punishment right before they go on the road. I covered a college coach once with a good program that was going through a divorce. Program went completely sideways. So would it be surprising if Michigan just unraveled? Find me a college basketball, college football coach teaching young men going through a personal or professional crisis. Does it ever work out? Now, I think the timing of the Big Ten's punishment, according to this story, feels very personal. This is the Big Ten, the commissioner, feeling tons of pressure from athletic directors in the conference to deliver something at this time. They could easily deliver this Sunday morning after the Penn State game. They could easily deliver this Monday or Tuesday of Maryland week. For the Big Ten to deliver it now is a message to Jim Harbaugh. Clearly, the athletic directors have a vendetta. They're angry, and the Big Ten is buying in. I saw a story this morning from Pete Thamel, respected college sports reporter. Jim Harbaugh's attorney, Tom Mars, tells ESPN he does expect Jim Harbaugh to fly with the team to Penn State. Oy, oy, oy. So how does this not disrupt them? The timing of this. So at Penn State, one of the tougher places to play in the country. At Maryland, a team that can certainly score. Ohio State. Yeah, they're pretty good. Next 3 weeks. That is just, this thing is becoming very personal. The Big Ten putting massive pressure on the commissioner, delivering it this afternoon, hopefully this afternoon as Michigan boards a flight. The coach is there. Joel Klatt talked about the timing of potential punishment on our show Wednesday.
I have defended the process and I've been an ardent defender that Tony Petitti and the Big Ten should not circumvent the process. And the process being gather evidence, all of it, deliver the evidence to those accused, and then make a judgment afterwards. If rules were broken, they should be punished. And it looks like rules were broken. The hard part is that if you rush ahead of the process and you allow mob mentality to force you into action, if you're Tony Petitti, you're setting a very dangerous precedent.
The other thing to consider is that this was, what I've been told, more of an inside leak. This was not Ohio State, Purdue, Iowa. No. Somebody inside the circle of Michigan's family, could be an administrator, a booster, a donor. Somebody doesn't like Jim. He's a polarizing figure. Donors can be very needy. Nobody's needier and more precious than billionaires that want to be the man, want attention, want to be treated a certain way. They're really needy, especially college people, often with an alumni history, a plaque on the wall. They're big donors. Sports donors are as needy as it gets. And it's why a lot of college football coaches either leave for the NFL or at least try it. Spurrier, Saban, Urban, they get over that very quickly. So right now, Michigan is strongly behind Harbaugh. But if the punishment's severe, if they lose at Penn State, corporations and companies and big donors could put pressure on Michigan to move off Jim. I think it'd be a big mistake, but this thing is fluid. The timing of it is undeniable. And I looked this morning and I'm like, at Penn State, at Maryland, 2 East Coast trips, then Ohio State, with this circus, how do they not unravel? I think they're a great team, but there are limitations on how much, you can put up in a corner box in your brain and hide. You got to deal with some stuff emotionally. And through my career of covering college programs, when the coach goes through a personal or professional controversy or duress, it always unravels the team. Maybe this week could be next. How long can you compartmentalize this if you're Jim Harbaugh? I think it's virtually impossible for human beings to do that. It's crazy.
Yeah, Colin, I just don't understand why they're rushing this process. I mean, this has been like 3 weeks. There's zero chance they've gathered all the evidence necessary, heard Michigan's side of the argument, deposed or whatever you want to call it, all the parties at hand. Like, what are we doing here? This is just really, as Klatt said, a horrible precedent. Like, you're rushing this to get him, suspended for the final 3 games of this season?
Well,
Like,
I think
what are we doing?
I think people are saying they haven't played anybody inside the conference. Let's throw a little turbulence in this flight at Penn State. I mean, look at the line on this game. Michigan is clearly better, and the odds makers are baking in this controversy. If Michigan lost and played poor football for the first time, I mean, they've lost. They lost in the last couple of years. Not much, but they play really high-end football. If they were a disrupted mess, I read this all this morning, would you be shocked? My history of covering college coaches, it could be infidelity, it could be a cheating scandal, it could be controversy with the AD. It always unravels the team. In the NFL, it's basically the owner's mad at you. Unless you're winning Super Bowls, the owner's always mad at you. But you don't see a lot of the personal stuff. In college, you see it all the time.